Hi, this is the video for day 10. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about my mental health turnaround. Yesterday I started writing down my story as a preparation for this video, and I realized that it is so much longer than I imagined. So I still have a lot of detail that I'm adding to it as we go, but I just wanted to give kind of a summary here today, just so you have an idea of kind of my story with my mental health. And also I can retouch some of the parts in more detail on future videos, but for today I'll just try to make it as short as I can. And for starters, I've kind of managed my mental health since I was in junior high. I've had lots of ups and downs, but kind of a constant little battle with mental health, but nothing I couldn't handle. And I always knew that exercise was helpful. For me, exercise has always been really helpful for my mental health. I did track and basketball, and I wasn't very good. I'm not very athletic, but just doing it helped my brain, helped me feel better. So it started getting let me start with my current mental health problem. It started in May of 2021. My daughter was born, and a week later I was feeling some abdominal pain. We went to the hospital and they found a piece of placenta, so they did a procedure to get it out, and this led to some like major bleeding. A scary amount of bleeding, and they tried a few procedures to get the bleeding to stop, and they couldn't. So as I was fading away, I almost died. I lost 8 units of blood. I was so pale and so quiet, or so quiet too, but also cold. And it was very scary for my husband and my mom who were there. I was not scared. I felt completely calm. I think the Holy Ghost was with me. Maybe angels were with me. I didn't see or hear anything, but I felt completely protected, and I felt completely confident that I had nothing to worry about, which is what happened. I survived. I lived. They had to take out my uterus, so I won't have any more babies, but I'm really grateful that so many people care about me and so many people put forth such an effort to help me. I know my aunt watched the kids, which I'm sure was a big ordeal because I don't know. I guess it was probably fine. She probably handles them a lot better than I do, but I'm grateful for everyone who helped and was there for me. But when I was in the hospital, after I was awake and starting to feel better, the doctor came to me and told me a little bit about how it went and what was going on and what return appointments I would need. And I remember him looking me in the eyes and saying, "You will have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder." And I kind of thought that was funny because it was like he was so certain, and I kind of was like, well, I've managed my mental health this long, like I'll be fine, like and slowly, I did have PTSD, and slowly, it really took a toll on my mental health. I was struggling so hard just to get out of bed and take care of the kids, and it was just like a struggle. I remember being such a struggle just to feed the dogs every day. Like even just to remember to do it was such a mental strain. I did have lots of flashbacks, and I would get cold a lot just randomly. Like if I started to get stressed, I would suddenly get freezing cold. And whenever I got sick, like a common cold or a flu or anything, I would get so cold, just so cold every time. So that was part of my PTS symptoms, and it kind of led into some major depression problems down a really bad mental health path. Yeah, so where do I go from here? It's kind of hard to talk about mental health because, you want to be honest. I want to be honest, but also I don't want to scare anybody, and I don't want anybody to be more worried than necessary. But, you know, standard depression symptoms, I had them all. I even, you know, I got really bad. I guess I can't talk about it. I just can't. But, you know, some of the things that are easier to say, you know, there's lots of overeating and there's lots of binge watching TV and just irritability and no patience with nobody and, you know, lots of self-hatred was happening. Lots and lots of self-hatred. Sometimes I would just randomly like yell swear words. So weird because I was so upset. And you know, I did have lots of, I never harmed myself, but I did get close several times. And there were times where I had to just shut down, sit down in a safe room and just hold on to myself so that I didn't go do something I would regret. And yeah, anyways, it was getting really bad, and I just kept telling myself, like, I just need to work harder. And I just kept telling myself, like, I need to, like, guilting myself, like, this is my problem. I need to do better. I need to do, you know, I'm worthless and I need to do more. I need to have more self-control. I need to have more self-discipline. And I started cutting everything out of my life that, you know, wasn't like my job as a mom. Like, you know, I stopped I stopped playing, like writing music. I stopped practicing foreign languages, which is something I love to do. I completely eliminated television. I took away all social media from myself. I didn't allow myself basically anything that would make a person happy, which is obviously the wrong choice. And I just got worse and worse, and I just got more and more angry at myself, and less and less capable of doing things. Like, I kind of spiraled out. So I became less capable, so then I was doing less, so I hated myself more, so I restricted myself more, and then I was doing less things because I just wasn't taking care of myself. So I have this picture here, and it is a representation for me about how I was at that time. I mean, obviously, I was overweight. I did hit the category of overweight. I didn't hit the category of obese, but I was overweight. And like that, I mean, that's important to me, but not as much as like what this picture represents for me, because I remember my husband was sweetly asking me to sit down so he could take my picture, and I just was like, no, I'm ridiculous. I look ridiculous. I feel ridiculous. And he was like, no, like, he was like, you're beautiful. Sit down. Let me take your picture. And he really encouraged me to accept that moment and be on the other side of the camera for that moment, which I really appreciate him doing, because I don't have tons of photos of myself, especially during that time. But I was, and I think you can tell by looking at me that I was not happy. Like, my face, like I'm smiling, but kind of like in a sarcastic way. Like, I just wasn't happy, and I just wasn't able to accept that. I just thought, I'm just not doing enough. And that's why I'm not happy, is because I'm just not doing enough. I'm just not good enough. So this was around the time that my mental health was its worst. And I didn't really believe in getting help at the time. I didn't really believe that I needed someone. I felt like the answers are within myself and I just needed to work harder. So I also didn't really, I have kind of a fear of taking medication, and I knew that someone might suggest me taking a medication, and I didn't want to go there. And I also wasn't excited about therapy because I don't like talking about myself, which is funny because I'm doing this project, but I don't like talking about myself. I'm a pretty private person, and I especially don't like talking about myself to people who I don't know, or people who I know are going to judge me. And I felt like that's kind of a therapist's job, is they're going to listen to you and be like, what is this? Like, analyze it and try to make decisions about you. And I didn't like that. It made me uncomfortable. So the way that I ended up getting help was kind of different. I guess you could call it divine intervention, but for a long time I had a suspicion that my daughter had ADHD because she's always been super hyperactive. When she was a baby, she would just like hold on to the railings of a crib and just jump forever. She just loved to jump. And she also was very easily distracted, and I tried to do like a homeschool preschool thing, and it was a disaster, and I just knew that it was going to be tricky to try to teach her, and I'd have to find different ways to teach her. So anyways, in an effort to learn more about ADHD for my daughter, I found this book called Women with ADHD, I think. I'll put a link. And when I was listening to this book on Audible, because I mostly just listen to books, I started to notice all of the symptoms aligned really well with me, with myself. Like, everything just seemed familiar. And so I decided that, well, first I wanted to get my daughter evaluated, but my husband wasn't really interested. And so I decided, well, I'm a grown-up, I can get myself evaluated. So I went and made an appointment for testing, psychological testing, and they were really booked. So I couldn't get an appointment for like months. And in the meantime, we had a trip planned to go to Universal Studios and Disney World, and so we went there. And I think I'm gonna skip this part. We'll talk about it more another time. But let's move along. So moving up ahead, skipping some things. After I had my appointment, I was diagnosed with major depression, general anxiety disorder, ADHD, and autism spectrum disorder. So that last one was the only one that I really was not expecting. And I'm still learning a lot about it, but I'm starting to see how it fits. And anyways, at that appointment, when she was telling me about my diagnosis, she said, she showed these diagnoses to me, explained why and how, and she also mentioned, like, there's also some signs of trauma here. Don't know exactly what that could be related to, but she was like, if you don't do anything, like, she was like, this is really bad. Like, she really wanted me to take it seriously. She was like, this is very bad. Like, you are very bad right now. Like, your mental health is very bad. And if you do not do something, it is going to get worse and worse and worse. And it'll get dangerously worse. And she just really said, you really got to do something about this. So she suggested medication, therapy, and some kind of social activity in a group of like a hobby or something that I enjoy, which that was unique in my mind. I hadn't heard of that as like a psychological advice before, but it makes sense now. And I didn't really want to do any of those things. I appreciated her suggestions, but I didn't really want to do any of them. So I went home and I was like, okay, well, I got to do something, but I don't want to do that. So the first thing I did is I tried fasting, and I was fasting twice a week, which kind of seems like a lot, I know, but I really needed to make a huge difference in my life. So I was fasting every Sunday and every Tuesday. And after, a little while of that, like a few weeks, 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something, I was talking to my sister and she suggested a diet called Whole30. And when she was talking about it, I got really excited because I'd like to eat healthy. I just lack the self-discipline. So I was really excited to just like commit to something, and also commit to something that was going to be kind of drastic because I really needed a big change. So I started the Whole30 diet, and that diet, like, I know people have said it before, it's been life-changing for people, and it was very much life-changing for me. I continued to fast, and I continued to, listen to conference talks and scriptures and things, and I was doing the Whole30, and the whole, like, that combination, it was working really well for me. I was getting healthier and healthier, and I have always wanted to do triathlon. I've just never felt ready, and so I decided it was time to just like start training for that, which I did. The first exercise I started to do was bar, because I did some bar when I was pregnant that I really liked, and so that same instructor, through a video, I used her bar, like regular bar video, in order to start building strength and start getting more active and start getting, more mobile and capable of training. And so I was doing that. I was doing fasting, Whole30, which is, I didn't even explain it. It's a diet where you cut out a lot of things. You mostly basically just eat meat and vegetables is what you mostly eat. And a lot of vegetables and some fruit. But yeah, so I was feeling really good, and I was making a lot of progress. I was losing some weight, and my mood was getting better, and I was more capable of getting some chores and stuff done. I started jogging on the treadmill a little bit here and there, and I just kept improving. And then my neighbor invited me to do Zumba, which was really great because that was the group activity that I needed, to be honest, I was not comfortable going because, like, with the mental health the way that it was, I just wanted to be alone all the time. So it was sometimes hard for me to go, but I would go every day, like Monday through Friday, I would go. And yeah, so that was fun, and that was motivational and really helped me. And then I got, I finished my Whole30 around Thanksgiving, and my mom was even kind enough to make some Thanksgiving food that was Whole30 approved, and my aunt helped with that. I was so grateful. And then after I finished my Whole30, I started to slip into eating some unhealthy foods, and I noticed right away that I was losing motivation. I wasn't exercising as much as I was before, and my training for triathlon was pretty much zero. And so I noticed right away the effect it had, and I decided to go on Whole30 again, which I did, and it was great. And I just kept exercising more and more and eating more and more, and all healthy. I was doing it in a healthy way. I was not extreme. I wasn't exercising an extreme amount. I was staying at a healthy amount, and I think that's important. You gotta, don't over exercise, don't under exercise, don't over exercise. But when I finished Whole30 the second time, I felt amazing. Like, I was like so great, and I was like, I don't know how could I ever. I remember thinking this while I was doing Zumba, and I felt so strong, and I felt so happy, and I was like, how could I ever go back to eating the way I did before, when I see how much of a difference healthy eating has had on my life. But of course, I did go back to eating unhealthy. It started slow, just a little bit of dessert here and there, and then it just kind of just like quickly slipped into problems. So I was struggling with the self-discipline, and it was affecting me a lot. And at some point around in there, I decided that I wanted to know more about ADHD in order to understand my brain, in order to be more productive. And so I started therapy. So to choose a therapist, because that was a decision I had to make, I had a list of some recommendations on the paper, the diagnosis paper that she gave me. And they were people who like had some knowledge about ADHD and ASD. So I picked, I looked at them all and I just felt drawn to one name, so I picked it. And I got really lucky because she had an opening like right away, and she was exactly what I needed. And one of my fears with therapy was I've heard people have to shop around for a therapist. Like, you get a therapist, you don't like it, you get to a different one, you don't like it, so then you switch again. And I just was not in the mood for that. I just was like, I don't want to be like shopping for a therapist. Like, I just want, especially if I'm gonna have to tell my story over and over and over again. Like, I just, I didn't want that. I wanted to have the right therapist and have it work out for a long time, which is exactly what happened. I got exactly the therapist that I needed, and I had sessions with her for like almost a year and a half, and then she moved to Utah, so I have a new therapist now. But I'm so very grateful for her. She made a huge difference in my life in so many ways, and I'm really glad that I got therapy. So with the help of therapy and food and diet and exercise, I made a lot of positive change. But of course there were waves, like roller coasters in this process. It wasn't like a straight shot. I had like good times and bad times. And, I was doing really well for a while, and I was, so at this point right now, like, I've cut out sugar, and I'm trying, I'm cut out dairy. Both of those things, I cheat sometimes, and I'm trying not to, but I'm doing way better than before. So cutting out dairy and sugar has made a huge difference for me, and I think everybody's different, so you have to kind of experiment and be patient with yourself and try a lot of things. And everybody's looking for like a quick fix, like lose 100 pounds and like lose a ton of weight really fast. But the reality is, like, it takes time. It really takes time. You have to have patience with yourself, and you have to pay attention to yourself, which is so hard. It's hard work. It's really hard work. I will say that other than therapy, I started medication about a year ago, I think. And the initial medication I took, I'm still taking, and it's been good. But there was a point that I had a significant life crisis that was out of my control, something I couldn't change, and didn't, like, it affected me, but it wasn't my choice as to what would happen with it. And so sometimes that happens. Sometimes we have people in our lives, or events in our lives, or just seasons of our lives that are just harder than other parts. And that happened for me around November of last year. And so with the high amounts of stress that I had at that time, I started showing physical signs of stress. And if you don't take care of your mental health, it affects your physical health. It really does. So training since that event has been hard, but I'm getting back on track. Just after that event, after that life event that caused me a lot of stress, the stress built up so much that I ended up having a catatonic episode, which is kind of a scary thing. And I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I could talk about it later if you want to know, but I don't know if you do or not. But I had a 40-minute catatonic episode where mostly, like, just for those who don't know. Mostly I couldn't control my speech and I couldn't control my body. So I was trying to talk and it would come out gibberish, and I tried to move my body and it just would kind of like flop around. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but I guess I laugh so I don't cry. And yeah, so after my catatonic episode, I was prescribed an additional medication to help me not have those anymore. And that medication was great. It helped me so much. I was like so happy, and I was exercising a ton, and I was eating well, and I just had my life in order, and I was so grateful for that medication. After about 5 months of using it, I started to have some internal bleeding, and my nurse practitioner decided, I'd been having bleeding for a couple months, and we just were hoping it would go away, but we decided it was best for me to stop taking that medication. So now I'm very much struggling again. And I did have some brief moments of near catatonic episodes just last week where I just kind of collapsed a little bit and here and there. And so that's scary, and I'm trying to take care of it. But I started a new medication, and hopefully, the more I use it, the more effect it will have, right? So hopefully, at this point, it seems like it's helping some, but I can't tell very well. So hopefully it'll be the right thing, and we'll see. But I'm trying really hard now that it's summer, like almost summer. Now that it's nice outside, I'm trying to get outside a lot, and I'm trying to exercise a lot because I know that it helps me. But it's hard. It's hard because when you're not motivated to do something and then you don't do it, and then you're less motivated to do it the next time, and then you're less likely to do it. Like, you need to like take care of your momentum. Like, you're either going in the right direction or you're going in the wrong direction. It's really kind of hard to stay neutral. So yeah, I'm trying to, right now I'm trying really hard to exercise more for the sake of my mental health, because I can't take the medication that was working, and I need some serotonin. So I know that there's some things in diet that you can do to increase your serotonin, and I'm just starting to look into that. But yeah, I'm hopeful and I'm happy, and I think that when you look at the picture from 2 years ago and the picture from yesterday, I took it yesterday, okay? I won't lie. I took the picture yesterday. But they're exactly 2 years apart. They were both taken on May 14th. So one was May 14th, 2023, and the other was 2025. So yeah, I think when you look at these pictures, you can see a difference in my mental health. At least I can, because I experienced both pictures. But I just want to leave this message with you because I know that it's hard. I know that life is hard. And I just don't want anybody to give up. And I don't want anybody to feel like they don't have a chance for change. And I also want to encourage people who are on the path to change, who are starting, have started their turnaround, that they need to keep going, because there are moments when you feel like, what is it worth it? Like, this is so hard. Is it worth it? And it is. It's 100% worth it. And yes, you will, like relapse here and there. You'll still have bad moments, and you'll still have bad seasons, and you'll still have bad times, but like, that doesn't have to define you. And you can remember that good times are ahead of you. And I really hope that you believe that, and I really hope that you can act for that, because it takes action. And so I want to encourage and I want to uplift. I don't want anybody to feel guilty or bogged down by this. I want them to feel like you can do this. And I just feel like there's so many people in the world, and sometimes I see people I don't even know and I can just tell they're hurting. And sometimes I go up to those people, like, I'm shy, so it's hard for me to do that, but the other day I felt like I needed to. I saw someone I felt like I saw in her face like she's not okay, and I went to talk to her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." And I just was like, "Oh, okay, sorry, I just thought maybe," you know, and I think people do that a lot. I think people often are like, "I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm so fine, I'm fine." And I do that a lot. But we're not fine. A lot of the times, we're not fine. And some of you may not be fine right now. And you're probably lying to your friends and family and telling them that you're just fine. And so, please, for yourself, do something today that will move you in the right direction. No matter how small a step it is, seriously, it could be the smallest micro step imaginable or even unimaginable. Just take a tiny little step in the right direction and feel good about it. Tell yourself, I did something good today because I did this small positive thing, and keep doing that. And this, you know, eventually you'll be able to look back and say, oh my gosh, how did I come this far? Like, I didn't feel like I was doing so many positive things. It didn't feel like I was climbing this ginormous mountain, but I've made it and I can keep climbing. So keep climbing.